Hey, we're going to start our meeting. Our first one will be the CRC meeting. And first up on the agenda is we have to approve the draft minutes from March 13, 2023. If there's no questions, we're going to
I'll make a motion.
motion. Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Committee reports, Finance Committee first. And are you doing it?
Finance first, right?
Yeah, so, yeah. This committee report. It's over here. What do you want to do? We have to do the finance.
Very quickly, the finance report for Columbia.
Yes. So
Capital
no committee report for the finance.
Yeah, okay.
There's only two things to report. As you know, our balance is $1,133 because of the grant that was made by CEDC to the Capital Resource Corporation for 2023 of $5,000. Those funds were expended for the audit and for the legal expense related to Paris. We have set up new accounts, and I want to thank the officers for going through twice, I guess, the paperwork electronically to get on those accounts. We are now going to, they just showed up on our online access, and we're going to have get access to those accounts. And we're also working on transferring in the next month. We'll be transferring both CRC and County IDA to QuickBooks in the cloud. We have all of our other accounts are in the cloud, and this way the accountants will be able to access them, download the information much easier at the time of the audit. So that's my report.
Okay. So technically, we were just in the
Finance Committee.
Finance Committee. So that was Treasurer's report, and then we have 2024 budget. I move we approve. Second. All right. All in favor? Aye.
With respect to the budget, we have to submit this by September 30th or October 30th. But just to get ahead of the curve on it, we just matched last year's budget, and that will give Lisa the opportunity to file it and be done with it if we have your approval. We recommend a motion to approve it.
Motion to approve.
Second. Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Approved. Any public comment? If not, we need a motion and a second. So move to close the finance.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Now we have CRC meeting agenda. Draft minutes from March 13th, 2023. And
Motion to approve.
second. Second, and all those in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Committee reports. We just, we had the finance committee, and then we need the treasurer's report. Finance
Committee report is, I think you all attended the Finance Committee, so we need to, the Finance Committee is recommending that you approve the 2024 budget.
Yes. Now
Motion to approve.
second. Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Any public comments? No public comments this time. We need a first. Yeah. And Jesus. A motion and a second. So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Now we're moving on to the IDA. And the first thing on that agenda is we have the minutes of February 7, 2023. We're going to need a motion and a second to approve. Motion to approve. Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Treasurer's report.
The treasurer's report. We have $35,000 in funds in the bank. And we have $6,000 in liabilities from money we're holding for the county from a land bank or from a land sale. And so we have total equity of $29,856. On the E&L side, we've only received two of the projects, the Apple Ice project and the Premier Packaging projects ended last year. The pilots were both up, so that the only administrative fee came from 41 Cross Street, which is the Wick Hotel. So our income has been very limited. Our expenses included the accounting and insurance. So we're running at a negative $10,000. And when I look at this, we're no longer accruing. Doesn't appear that we're accruing the CEDC fee. I think we talked about freezing that as of June, but I think that we would then come back at the end of the year when we get another project and talk about that contract. So at this point, you'll see that the expenses are the legal expense, the accounting, and the insurance, and we're providing you with these services on an as-come basis without charging you until we get that sorted out and get some more revenue. And we also have, I mentioned we're going to put we've opened new key bank accounts, and we're going to put the bookkeeping system on the cloud. In connection with the 2024 IDA budget, again, we're providing the exact same budget as last year. Last year, we had budgeted for $50,000, which would have been 1% of a $5 million project. So we're hoping that we'll have a $5 million project or more in 2024.
Okay.
So I recommend that the report be approved as well as a separate motion to approve the budget.
Okay, so we need a motion and a second to approve the treasurer's report.
So moved.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Approved. And we need a motion and a second to approve the 2024 budget. So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any public comments? No public comments. Need a motion and a second to close the IDA Finance Committee.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Moving on, we have the IDA board members. And the regular IDA meeting. First thing up is the draft minutes from June 6, 2023. Need a motion and a second to approve. So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Next, we have the Finance Committee report, Treasurer's report.
The Finance Committee met, and the Finance Committee is recommending that the full board approve the 2024 budget.
And the Treasurer's report, we just basically went over. So what we need is a motion and a second to accept the Treasurer's report.
Motion. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And again, we need a motion, a second to approve the 2024 budget.
So moved.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Next, Administrative Director's report.
Yes, good morning. Back in a year and a half ago, the IDA approved the transfer of Lot 8 in the Commerce Park to a Stephen Maytek. He was going to go into partnership with a contractor, and they were going to build a facility there for the construction company and have laydown area and an office and some space for interior space for work. That partnership did not go forward, and now Mr. Maytek is interested in selling the property. Like all of our IDA projects, when it closed in May, actually May of 2022, there was a penalty note and mortgage, providing the county through the IDA was providing an incentive to them to build the building within a fixed time period. And they had agreed to complete the construction of the project by September 30th, 2024. They have a buyer for the project, but because we have a filed lien in the form of a mortgage that secures the note, they're asking if we would allow them to sell the property for the same price they bought it from the county to the neighboring landowner in the Commerce Park, who will agree to assume the note and mortgage, and we would file a new mortgage when they sign the note at closing. The issue is that the new owner, Mr. Stephen Shulkin, who runs a recycling business next door, wants to build a 5,000 plus square foot building on that property, but he's requesting that we extend the time frame for him to get that done under the new note and mortgage from the September 30th date of 2024 to June 30th of 2025. He asked for a longer period of time, but I told him that our goal here is to get this project built and move forward. And so I'm requesting and recommending that to facilitate this, we would allow Mr. Maytek to sell the property. We would relieve him of his obligations under the note and mortgage. Mr. Shulkin would assume the obligations of Mr. Maytek under the existing note and mortgage, but we would give him an extension to June 30th, which is what, 9 months to get a building started.
How much did we sell it for?
We sold it for $90,000, and and the note and mortgage was half of that. There'd be another $45,000 due if he doesn't build. The purpose of that was to ensure that people don't land bank those projects. That land, there are no parcels that the county owns there, but there's still some vacant lots. Because what happened was several people paid the penalty and kept the lot. Right. We are very, very short on properties. I did check with them to see if that sale was still on track to close with both the buyer and the seller. They say it is, pending us approving this 9-month extension of the time to build. Are there any questions?
The time, so it was supposed to be September, this next month.
Yeah.
And so now he wants 9 more months?
He wanted a year, and I said no.
No, you're right, that's, when you said 24, I'm just thinking, man, that's a long time. But,
Yeah.
Getting a good price too.
I think
I'm sorry,
It would be June 30th, 2025.
2025.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah. We're giving him 9 months from the end of
next year.
Yeah.
It is an effective use of the penalty mortgage because we are maintaining control. Because the flip side is, if they just sell it to Shulkin, he could just sit on it.
Do as if we
And
have.
then it doesn't get, this keeps us in the game.
Okay.
Yeah, but that's what we had that for, wasn't it?
Right, exactly. That's what I
We
mean.
did that just so
Working the
nobody
way-
could.
Right, but say we made Mateic pay off the mortgage.
Right.
And he sells it to Shulkin.
He can
Then Shulkin has basically paid the mortgage. He's paid the penalty because he's not gonna, the seller's not gonna let him, not gonna absorb it just to sell the property. And we have no control over forcing Shulkin to build. So by moving the mortgage with the sale of the land,
Mhm.
we control, we continue to have the restriction on it that he has to build.
So technically, somebody could still he could turn around and sell this piece of property or get the money from the other guy.
Well, if he sold the price of property without coming back to the IDA, then we would not release the mortgage without getting the penalty paid.
Yeah, but that's my point. So if the penalty was involved in that, Rick just said he's getting a deal. If the penalty's involved and someone in the other guy gives him the penalty and he pays it, then we're back to square one where we don't have any
Well,
control of that
but we
property.
would not release that mortgage. We'd make the next person commit to build there. 'Cause if you stop allowing, if we let the guy sell the land for 90 plus 45, then Shulkin could sit on it forever.
That's what I'm saying.
But that's what we're making Shulkin responsible
To build. You're making it, but if they paid the penalty and came in and paid the mortgage,
Right, we
Yeah,
can do that.
They can do that.
they could, then
Then we're out.
that's what I'm just saying.
Yeah, so this is a good thing.
Oh, no,
Yeah.
I'm saying that.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, because I think that I probably would have structured it differently. I would have had the penalty mortgage that if you didn't build in 2 years or whatever the time frame was, that we take it back. You lose everything. But, that wasn't how they were set up. And we do have, what we're discovering is because the local zoning and not in my backyard folks are making it very difficult for anyone to find a site to build anything. And by having the Commerce Park pre-approved and by having additional sites to be able to provide shovel-ready sites for developers, we have met and spoke with Ray Jakowski at the County Engineer's Office as to how we could work to get additional shovel-ready sites where we're not the owner, where the county's not the owner of the property, and work with a developer, because we're getting calls at least 2 or 3 a month. I need 2 acres, want to build a 5,000 square foot building for this, that, or the other thing. And there's a project in the town of Livingston right now where across from the state police barracks. And it's interestingly, it's the gentleman who originally put the option on this property to buy it and ended up not closing. And we got, I think, $5,000 in earnest money that he walked away from. And he did go back to see if this property was for sale, but the planning board in Livingston has got a really, a lot of people opposed to the project because it's Frito-Lay and they want to have a warehouse with tractor trailers coming in and
I
out.
thought he went down on Route 84.
That's the big, that was the big one. And now they
He still wants to.
he wants the small one. So, I think that we have to look on a longer term basis. How can we motivate the handful of property owners in the Commerce Park who paid the penalty and now own their facility? And at the same time, look to see how we at CDC and the IDA can facilitate finding a private developer now that there's a water and sewer line from Commerce Park to Greenport to look into the idea of creating another 8 or 10 parcels on a 20-acre property. There's a gentleman who bought 30 acres just east of the car dealership on 66. I don't know if he's closed yet because there was some litigation with an estate, but he has another contract. That would be a potential site to try to find some incentives for him to develop that into a commerce park too. But I don't think there's an appetite for the county to buy land and do that again. So if we could,
Was that wasn't the building project, the Amador's project?
no. Amador closed with Bill First,
Right, that's what.
and this is on, I never get it right, Locktower,
Gay-Bauer.
Gay-Bauer Road. And it's, the first, he was looking at some national fast food chains, but I discouraged him from even trying that opportunity. I wouldn't fly, I don't think, in the town of Potterville. So, So again, there's so few places that have water, sewer, gas, electric, and broadband at the same location. Not only does it adversely impact our affordable housing initiative, but it impacts small businesses who want to expand and have some type of a facility, whether a small warehouse or some type of commercial or industrial activity. So I recommend that we approve the extension of the penalty mortgage from June of 24 to, September of 24 to June of 25.
Randy, put that, preface that for me. I'm having a problem with words.
Yeah, no, we would just need a motion to approve transferring the penalty mortgage to the new purchaser of lot 8 to June 30th, 2025.
All right, so we would need I'll make that motion. Second,
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
So moved.
Thank you. The next items that we have on the agenda are discussion about our application and then policies respecting the evaluation of our project. Jessica's been working on that, and can you just give a quick update?
I'll give an update. We talked last meeting about taking a look at the application, updating it, sort of looking at the questions, and then also updating the evaluation, some of the documentation. I'm still working on that. I'll have those drafts to you at the next meeting. I think it'll be what we're looking for the next meeting is a strong discussion on the evaluation. What you want to, when you look at projects, when they come in applications, what are the things you want to consider? Is there any edits to that? So we'll have more of a discussion for next week, next meeting, to then also roll into the application.
Thank you.
We also take note of the New York State Senate's committee that was oversight of IDAs made a criminal referral in connection with the Orange County IDA. We're monitoring that for two reasons. One, it's a very interesting case, but more importantly, is there any best practice we can learn from that we would incorporate into either our review of projects, our application, or other aspects of how the IDA functions to ensure full compliance with existing law. I just want that right in the minutes that we're aware of the referral, and Orange County IDA responded yesterday, and we can circulate the information to you. But I just want to be sure that a lot of political heat there, but I want to be sure if there's something that we should be doing that we aren't doing, or something we're doing that should be done differently, that we take that into consideration.
Right, so the report was just released also, so
Right.
we'll take that and kind of outline that for the discussion. Anything different that you should do or incorporate into your procedures.
And you'll recall that Senator Scopus from Orange County was able to get a bill passed that appoints a special overseer for the Orange County IDA, the only IDA in the state that has one. So it really is a very local political issue, but if there's some best practice we can learn from it, I want to make sure that we incorporate it into our policy. Next up would be Clock Estates, unless there's any questions on any other administrative matter. Clock, you met with them most recently, so perhaps.
Yeah, I can give an update. They're moving along. I know our meeting will report out last month, the last meeting, but they're anticipating opening the retail, restaurant, and operation, which is be on top of the hill, the big building, by within the next month or two. Actually, they said by fall of 2023, so it's really moving along. We also help them with grant application for assistant marketing, getting the word out. They're really focused on being a national brand and internationally attracting outside of the country. So Sean, he's there. We're moving along. It's gonna be a really great project.
Several months ago, I think we reported that we had brought representatives from the Office of Community Renewal to the site. And more recently, Empire State Development's regional office visited. And I was invited this afternoon by John Frischkopf to visit the site with Congressman Molinaro.
They're gonna have a big party for us real soon.
At theater,
Brady's ready. It's all
IDA members are the only ones that have to pay. Everyone else is free.
They're living out there now. He lives right there.
Yeah.
No,
on the top though.
no, on the bottom of the hill.
The restaurant is going to be spectacular. And they're making product and bottling, and based on the investment that they have there, they certainly have to be a national brand, if not an international brand. And they're working with Russ Bartolotta on getting the fruit before their orchards and trees are ready. And he's been their advisor on that aspect of the production of brandy.
Yeah, he's been providing, well, he did.
Yeah.
Providing, doing it, and still buying.
And just as a point of reference, you may have seen that we completed the grant process for Russ on the Kleinkill Farm migrant or farmer housing initiative. And it was a $250,000 grant that CEDC worked with, and the county was the applicant. And there was a big story about that in the paper.
Nice, sir.
And we also have been working with the county on the announcement that Columbia County was included in the 7 or 8 counties that were declared a disaster area with respect to the frost that killed off all the peaches, and helping farmers and coordinating that with Todd Erling at Valley Agribusiness Development.
Yeah, they also, he lost about 50% of his apples too.
Apricots.
Back in May.
Back in May. The heat did the peaches in May. And then the frost came and did some of the farms in. He's got 5 farms.
What John Perica Jr. told us was that larger farms have insurance for the loss of crop. Smaller ones don't. The federal program is really a 30-year loan program. So and you can borrow up to $500,000 at 3.75%, kind of a match of the SBA's emergency disaster fund that they put together for COVID. So, I mean, it's helpful, but it just puts you further in debt if you're a small farmer.
Yeah. I think Russell's got, he's got insurance, but he's got 5 farms. So 2 of them, but they got to show them, they got to show a total loss. That, he said, that's the problem. And then it's still just,
business. Mike, any update on Flanders building?
We've continued to be in touch with the CFO. The building is not owned by Flanders. They have a 30-year lease. So there's not a lot of activity on the owner's part to do anything but collect the rent. I know that the one of the 2 people that we sent to Flanders wanted to buy, and so I think it'll depend on what the lease terms are and what those payments net present value at as to whether the real estate holding company wants to sell. And even if the price is right, it might not be. It's a company that owns facilities like this all over the country for multiple different businesses. It could be the greatest price in the world, but if it doesn't fit into the financial picture of that entity, they're not going to sell at this point. It's a big building. Jessica and I went down and took a tour of it, and it does have water, sewer, gas, electric, and broadband at the same location, and it's in pretty good shape.
you've been there about, just trying to think, when you're saying that 30 years, they've been there at least 20 more, I would think.
Kikos, yeah, it's And they, I think it goes to 54, because they didn't lease it from the beginning. They owned it and then they sold it
Oh,
to get cash. And, there's, it's called JP Cleary. And they own, it's a roll-up that buys buildings and it's just a real estate investment company. So they buy them all over the country. So we have a copy. I did pull the memorandum of lease off the county clerk's website. But it is, we do get requests regularly from Empire State Development, who processes requests from site selectors for large buildings with very specific height and energy criteria. And that probably would fit going forward, but I think it's just a little early. But I think once someone at Flanders realizes how much they're paying a month, they're going to either try to sublet it or convince the owner to sell it.
anything on Haley Boulevard on the,
Yes, we did have a FOIL request for a copy of the resolution that the IDA passed from an attorney in Troy, indicating he represented the current owner of the property. It was his position that the contract for sale with the LLC that was attempting to purchase it for housing has expired, and he was going to bring an action in Supreme Court to clarify that. So I think that until that's resolved, we really don't have a project there. At the same time, if it is resolved, I suspect it may be because they have someone who wants to buy it for a higher price. It's certainly a piece of property that the owner wants to sell. It's just a situation of, how long was the option and what were the conditions and have they been met, which Redburn indicates they believe they have. Bring it on when they were told that there's going to be a lawsuit, but that's just going to slow the whole process down, and it's going to make it more difficult to move forward with housing on a timely basis.
anything with the WIC sale?
There are 3 proposals that have been, I don't know if they've been submitted. We did have a second inquiry for information where we sent them a copy of the pilot. Jessica and I and Andy have had a conversation with Joe Scott, who, as you know, acts as special counsel from time to time to the IDA on matters as to what the IDA's role would be if there was a sale. Obviously, there's, I think, 5 years left on the pilot. Any buyer is going to want to structure the deal in a way that would enable them to do that. I understood from the current owner that one of the proposals was to expand the hotel. It's 51 rooms. Thought was that to make it cost effective, to offer a better price, that they wanted to add additional rooms. I don't know how many on the site. So they do own the concrete pad that they own that backs up to the CAD site. CDC had loaned them the money to purchase that, so that you may recall when they were getting the Marriott flag, Marriott was delaying the flag because you looked out of the hotel room to this Butler building, and they had to take it down, and they had to acquire it to take it down. So, again, if it's refinanced through using the existing documentation as an amendment, it would stay with the county IDA. If it's sold and the new owner comes in for a total new deal, I assume that we'd have to discuss whether it goes to the city IDA. Because remember, we did that as an accommodation to the city before the city IDA got reconstituted. But it makes more sense from our conversation with Joe Scott that it simply be an amendment and restated agreement with the county IDA. So wouldn't have, they'd pay a fee on any new one. So,
So we've been having conversations with an existing business in Columbia County, actually in the county of Kinderhook, who wants to expand and is interested in coming to the IDA for financial assistance. However, it's a retail operation. I don't know if you can jump in, but a retail operation is not an eligible use under the IDA unless if you can meet the tourist destination. Test or
there are
benchmarks.
5 exceptions. And in this case, it would be a destination.
So hopefully we're still working with Anthony and special counsel on getting sort of determination if that's worth moving forward or not.
Basically, the size of the project is such that it will not be a successful project if you're only serving people within a 5-mile radius. So 10,
The project will be,
close to 10. But again, we would need opinion of council that it meets the criteria. I know the IDA in the past has had, when Dick's Department Store wanted the IDA to finance 30,000 square foot facility out on Fairview Avenue, the IDA at that time declined, primarily because although it was considered a destination, they felt that with the 2 local sporting goods stores in the area, that it was not something they wanted to make a stretch on. So we don't, I don't know what people feel about a potential exception based on the special counsel giving an opinion that it would meet the criteria of the state statute in terms of retail, but it would be something that may very well come to the IDA, and just wanted to give you a heads up so you can start thinking about it. It's not Cabela's, but it's a, it's
Out of Kinderhook?
existing small business. They turn away a lot of customers and potential clients. So the idea to be able to expand
and it would include banquet space.
banquet space, meeting rooms, especially something in that area of the county that.
Electric vehicle charging stations, all of that.
There's not anything like that in that area, that where the county. So we think it's worth looking into to see if there's an eligibility.
Because once it gets to that price range, it's probably not going to happen if they aren't eligible for some type of incentives.
Okay, any other questions?
Any public comments? If not, just need a motion, a second to adjourn.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Boy,
Thank you, sir.